everybody. I'm Savani Babu.
I'm Sabine K. Bergman.
And we're the co-founders of Hidden Compass, and we are joined today by writer and filmmaker Paul Fischer, who wrote the Chasing Demons story in our winter 2022 issue. It is a pleasure to have you here, Paul. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to talk.
So we want to get to know you a little bit better as a person. We talk a lot at Hidden Compass about being a publication for nerds that celebrates nerds. And so we want to start by asking you, what are you a nerd about?
I'm a film nerd, mostly. As the article kind of shows, most of my way into everything is films and books and storytelling and, the kind of craft of how we relate to one another through images and narratives and stories, and how we relate to ourselves through those things. So I'm a big nerdy kind of archetype, folklore, storytelling, film tidbits kind of person that, if I've got a film I love, I'm the kind of guy who can read 17 versions of, the draft of the screenplay and try and work out minute differences. And, sit in the pub for hours talking about, if you change this, it changes that. But if you do this, it does that. And if the color is that, which bores everybody I know except the lucky couple. But that's my thing.
Nice. What is, what's one of the most amazing things you've ever seen?
I've been really lucky in the sense that, and this kind of relates to this story, obviously I'm 35. We're kind of a generation where a lot of what we know is through images of the world. I'm always conscious of most things I think I know what they look like or feel like are because I've seen them on a TV screen, whether it's fiction or nonfiction. So there are really small, amazing moments of presence I've had that tend to do with travel, that tend to do, when I thought of this question, the first time I went to meet Tarzan and Arab in Gaza, and what the actual enveloping experience is of sitting in Gaza and there's rubble over there and there's the beach over there and there's your coffee over here and the sunrise there and the occasional pop of a plane or a mortar thing above, the kind of all immersive version of something that you thought you knew, but you'd really only seen it kind of two-dimensionally from a distance. And I've had a few of those experiences, and, the really trite version of it is, I've got a 7-year-old, and there's all those moments when a baby becomes a sort of person, becomes even more of a person, And, the stuff that kind of takes you like the critic and Ratatouille, where you get that flashback of being a kid, and like, oh, that. So they're all kind of moments of presence rather than seeing.
Yeah.
And those are the ones that are kind of amazing and overwhelming. And I think in 2021, 2022, even more so, because we have this false sense of experiencing things that isn't really experiencing things. It's watching them.
Yeah.
And a lot of that experience, you traveled to Gaza for this piece. A lot of it, your experience of being there shows through in your writing, which is wonderful. And so for those who haven't read the story, we encourage you to do so. And the piece takes place in multiple countries over many years. What was the most rewarding thing about working on this story?
The clear most rewarding bit is the relationship with Tarzan and Arab, with the brothers, because as the piece kind of goes into, I met them at a very specific time in my life where I was in a certain place and they were in a certain place. And they've grown and I've grown, and some of the concerns have stayed the same and some of them have changed. And I think with guys like them, there's a natural tendency, and this is me being a nerd about narratives again, to kind of make them characters. They come from Gaza and they want to make films and they've never been inside a cinema and it's never going to happen. And I think our brain organizes that into inspirational film trajectory with beautiful music at the end type thing. And over time, getting to know them as human beings and getting to kind of track with them the more complicated version of that. And that was really at the core of wanting to write this for me, which was we sort of imagine, because Gaza has these elements of being a bit of an open air confined space, that what everybody wants to do is leave and see the world, that's freedom, really. And these guys have left, but it wasn't their choice and they can't go back. And so that complicates what our idea of freedom is. And for them, they have everything that you would expect would be their bucket list of things that they want to have. But like all of our life experiences, it's often kind of a monkey's paw. And for them, in a really kind of affecting human way. And so in the same way you'd have with friends or family or people you feel quite strongly about, to have known each other quite young, and then now get to speak when so much has changed and they're the same person, but everything has changed. That feels really rewarding, because as I'm sure you guys know, most pieces you write, or you make in my case, you make documentaries, that kind of thing, and you're very intensely in someone's life, and then you lose them. Then you don't see each other and know each other, speak to each other. And the very act of documenting someone changes the relationship. But with these guys, because documenting is kind of what they do, they document themselves and invent themselves through images and clothes and films and their paintings and their work in a way that's kind of flattened that. And so getting to have a longer view, even though this isn't something I started writing 10 years ago, but that the experience gets to go into it, and that it wasn't a finite, okay, well, if commissioned me to write this, I'll write it or film it, and I'm done in a month and I go away. That was really special, and made it a bit more challenging, sort of questioning, okay, where am I coming at this story from? Instead of assuming, you know, as I'm conditioned to do as a 35-year-old white dude, that I'm just the default lens, kind of recording things.
Yeah. And that longer view, that more complicated view, we really value that, not just at a Hidden Compass, but as individuals. And it allows us to go into those more nuanced, complicated layers of stories, to find those themes, like you talked about freedom and what it really is. And that's not the kind of topic that you can tie up in a bow, but you really can sink into it. And so we appreciate you bringing this kind of story to our audience so that they can explore it with us.
Yes, it is. It is a beautiful, poignant story. And for the viewers, we encourage you to go and watch it. We will link to it, obviously, and contribute to the campaign. There's a fundraising campaign that goes with this story. Thank you all for watching. And Paul, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.